let's go ahead and get started, guys. What's going on? Welcome back to Musa Gaming here, and today, here during the live stream, with everyone else who's in the chat here, what I'm gonna do for today is that I'm gonna go ahead and do a tier list, and I'm gonna actually do something a little differently because I've done like the best commander investment tier list. I've done the best pairing tier list. I've done the best like rally garrison pairing tier list, but this one, I'm just gonna go ahead and take a look at each commander's power level. So as a single commander in Rise of Kingdoms as of May 12th of 2026, how would you rate? How would Musa rate each of those commanders tier lists in terms of power? Okay. And the reason why I'm doing this is simple. The reason why I'm doing something different and simple is for one, because first of all, there's a clear difference between a power level of a commander pairing and a power level of a single commander, right? For example, let's say you are evaluating Arthur, right? When I do a commander tier list, the usual commander tier list, I would put like Arthur pretty high up in the list because I know that what Arthur can do with Achilles, right? Arthur can do with Philip. And long time ago, when I was doing Arthur in the tier list, and we didn't have any other, I don't know, the combo damage commanders like Arthur, Achilles, the Achilles or Gigi, it was very tough for me to actually put Arthur at a top spot. But Arthur as a single commander, you guys, he is a very, very strong commander. He has 2800 damage factor. He has 2800 damage factor on his conic AoE that hits up to 3 targets. And he has like combo damage up to 30%. And then he has this crazy, crazy expertise that can proc almost infinitely. Like up to 10 times. I've seen this basically trigger 10 times, right? So there's a lot of things that you can do with like Arthur as a single commander. But because he didn't have like a good parry back then, it was very difficult for you to give him a really high rating at the end of the day. So yeah. In today's video, we're gonna go ahead and evaluate each commander by their power level and power level only, okay? Random drama where the drama was actually the earlier part of this stream, so if you want to go back and watch that, you guys can. But with that said, let's just go ahead and get started. Now the tier list itself has been evaluated. It has the rank of SS tier, S tier, S minus tier, A plus tier, A minus tier, B tier, C tier. Okay, I would usually put like a descriptor next to each tier, right? Like for example, when I was doing like a commander tier list, usually I would say, okay, well, SS tier just means that he is the one and only commander that is the best commander in Rise of Kingdoms, right? But since this is a power level, this is actually basically self-explanatory, right? We are basically here to evaluate each commander's power level and power level only. So this one actually does not have a descriptor anymore. So that's the only difference that we have. Let's just go ahead and get started. Prince Boom, yo. Welcome, Prince. It's been a while, though. All right, let's start from the very, very beginning. Well, hold on. Let's just go ahead and first start from adding the Alp Arslan, because this commander is probably one of the reasons why we want to do this, too. Guan SS tier? No. Let's start from the very first commander from the infantry. Sunzu Prime. Latest commander release in Rise of Kingdoms, right? Before ARP. I mean, ARP is not really in the game yet, so I would say he's not really... We don't really know what's going on with ARP, but very strong commander, 3000 damage factor, single target. And that 900 rage requirement is very good. Now, the reason why 900 rage requirement is very good is because when you have a primary commander and a secondary commander in Rise of Kingdoms, Secondary commander always fires off their active skill a second after the first commander actually uses his active skill, right? So what this means that the cycle of both commanders are accelerated with his 900 rage requirement. That is 100 rage requirement less than the usual. And also at the same time, that basically boosts the entire DPS of the commander by a lot, right? One other thing, the military stage effect, it actually allows you to do a fixed true damage with 30% damage buff of whatever you're using. So for example, let's say you're using what's this called? Bai Chu, and he's doing 2400 damage factor, then he's gonna do 30% of that damage as true damage. And that is unrelated to the defense and health and all that stuff. It just does the true damage, right? So this is a very big, maybe health is actually accounted for, but yeah, this is really, really strong. At the end of the day, he has a lot of march speed, he has a lot of health, which is really, really good. And then 30% attack is also very good. At the same time, he has damage reduction. The only thing that he's probably missing is a lot of smite damage bonus, right? He only has 10%, which is kind of a meh. I would say that's probably the worst case of what he has. And in general, I would say he is an S- tier. He's an S- tier. He's a very strong commander, by the way. He's a very strong commander. But wait, is he? Does he deserve a S tier as a power level? Let's just put him at S tier. Actually, yeah, he's a very strong commander. He's a very strong commander. I think he's. I was looking at the other commanders. I was like, there's no other commander that I would put at S tier. So yeah, that's probably where I'll put him. So yeah, S tier, very nice, very solid commander as a single commander. You can pair him up with very, very good commanders as well. Just in general, one of the greatest commanders that was released in Rise of Kingdoms thus far. Okay. Sons of Pride does deserve S tier. He's strong. He elevated William. William Wallace, yes. Well, speaking of which, let's just talk about William Wallace, right? So William Wallace, if we talk about William Wallace as a commander and the single commander, he's a pretty good commander, right? He does like 2400 damage factor, and then you do a little bit of sprinkle of damage factor as well, up to 3 enemy targets with 300 damage factor, right? And then this does not get reduced. So technically, he does 2400 damage factor and then up to 900 damage factor additional damage, which is really, really good. He has a lot of march speed. 20% is good. And 30% attack, a little bit low on the health side. And he has a lot of normal damage reduction. And then whenever you deal smite damage, you do basically the damage increase debuff on the target, right? Or not debuff. This basically has like amplification damage, right? His smite damage bonus is 10%, which is not that much. But 10% extra normal damage bonus is actually pretty good. And then this is actually not really that relevant. So overall, he's not a bad commander. But I think this is a good commander that I will just put at A tier, right? He's a very strong commander. Don't get me wrong. He's not really a commander that where I would put him as like S tier, to be really honest with you. Like, if there's an option, if you were to actually use like the first one infantry pairing, I would not use it, William Wallace. So that's what I would say. That's why I would say he's like an A tier, right? If we're not really in the first pairing choices, I would say he has to be an A tier. That's what I would actually think. And in terms of like the power level as well. Okay? So that's where I'll put him. Now, who do we want to do next? Who do you want to do next? Do you want to move to... What is David doing here? Let's just go ahead and move him down. I think he should be just considered for rallying garrisons, right? Do you want to do Guan Yu? Charming, yo, we talked about your video earlier, so let's talk about Huo. Huo as a single commander. Huo as a single commander, he's actually really good, in my opinion. Like if you look at Huo's kit, right? He has a really strong kit, in my opinion, right? He has 2700 damage factor. The only problem is that he can't be used as a secondary commander, but he does have a really powerful debuff for 50% march speed reduction, right? It's a little bit outdated with 2700 damage factor skill damage to a single target. So I would say he's not like really up, like on par with all the new commanders that were released. He does have a lot of attack. A little bit of march speed, but it's okay. You don't need that much march speed as a cavalry. Skill damage bonus is very nice. And then this one right here, the rage requirement reduction for Huo, is actually probably one of the main ways that he's actually really strong commander, right? The fact that you can actually have like 150 less rage. Again, it really buffs up your DPS as a commander pairing as a whole. Not just one commander, but both your primary commander and the secondary commander. So that 150 rage reduction is a very strong buff. And then it also has once this expertise, whenever you're attacking another commander on the map, you get 25% extra skill damage buff on top of having 30% skill damage buff, right? So overall, I would say he's a really strong commander. I think if we're just looking at his kit and his kit only, I will probably put him at like an A-, right? He's a very strong commander. The rage reduction basically saves his kit too. Rage reduction, I think, basically saves his kit. It is very strong, in my opinion. And that's why I will put his power level at A-. Charmy's like, I saw, I hope you enjoyed. Yeah, I did. It was fun. Yeah, I would say Ho is a very solid A- commander. Okay, let's go ahead and move on. Who else do you want to do next? Hey, Jess, you said Sargon? Sargon. Sargon. I would say Sargon is probably at should I put him at a B tier or a C tier? I don't know, guys. Should I put Sargon as a B tier or a C tier? As a single commander, I think he deserves a B tier. Like, if you look at Sargon, you guys can see that I don't really have Sargon even, right? Where's my infantry? Okay, where's Sargon at? So he has interesting kit, right? Once expertise, you can get like what? For 5 seconds, you can do with 100%. You can do up to 2500 damage factor, right? And there's like this awe effect that he actually does, which is very interesting too. And the target takes what? %3 more damage, skill damage for 10 seconds. Once you take 10 seconds, well, all can be stacked up to 10 times, and then its duration resets whenever it gains another stack, right? Yeah, so he's an interesting commander. The only reason why I have him at B tier, not a C tier. S plus? No, not S plus. Not S plus. The only reason why I have put him at a B tier is because he does have like he does have some sort of a utility with I would say I think Achilles in what's this called? in the artifact case. He does have some value. And then if you can actually, find a way to mix it with like combo damage, there is a way that he can actually be strong. His active skill, the auto attack damage does not have a limitation, so that's really good. And he's like one of those commanders that are good in theory, but in reality, he's actually garbage, right? So yeah, that's what I would think that Sargon basically belongs, right? It's a good commander on paper, but once you actually play around with him, he's actually not that good. That's where I'll put him. Okay. Okay. Moving on to the next commander. Let's talk about Liu Che. Hey, if you guys want to talk about some commanders faster than anyone else, just let me know in the chat. I'll go ahead and talk about those commanders first. Next commander, Liu Che. I think Liu Che is probably one of the commanders that I'll put at S tier. For many reasons. For one, Liu Che has a combo attack that you can proc with 25% chance every single turn, right? One extra combo attack that you can actually launch every single turn. This, if you actually were, let's say, without any rage engine, you were supposed to hit a single target for like 10 seconds, right? This means that this can actually generate like 100 extra rage for 2 times. So this is almost equivalent to having like, 200 less rage than most people. And if you use him as a secondary commander to things like, I don't know, like Sun Tzu, then you can basically make the skill cycle of this commander pairing very, very strong. This expertise was broken when it first came out. It is probably one of the best that I would say passive that you'll find in Rise of Kingdoms all around. One combo attack with 25% chance is insane, and you get one basic attack worth of rage, which is crazy. I think this is probably one of the best ones that you have, right? Aside from that, he has a little bit of an okay normal damage buff, and then smite damage, damage reduction to the enemy is fine, but he's missing some smite damage, like buffer. But aside from that, again, he has many different ways that you can actually utilize him. The smite damage factor of the AoE itself is not bad at all, especially considering the fact that he can hit up to 5 targets. But he does have another smite damage factor that can proc with 25% chance. On top of having that smite, overall, he's a damage machine. And he has 20% march speed, which is all really what you want in an infantry march at the end of the day. Skill damage reduction is also very good, especially in this meta where Wedge 2.0 is dominating the field, right? So that's what I'll do. S- tier is probably where I'll put Liu Che. Janiski Love. I don't know how to say your name, but Gianniskolov 63, 67. You wanna talk about Achilles? Let's talk about Achilles. Actually, one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video was because I wanted to talk about Achilles, guys. So Achilles is an interesting commander, right? Achilles is a very interesting commander because he does very little damage if you think about it. He only does 2,000 damage factor to your circular AoE, right? And when is the last time that we saw another 2,000 damage factor circular AoE commander? That is Zhuge Liang, guys. That is Zhuge Liang. So he really is like a clone to Zhuge Liang, in my opinion. And of course, Zhuge Liang does not have a second proc to his active skill, but Zhuge Liang actually has a really strong skill right here, the Marquise effect, that actually gives 1,500 extra damage factor, right? So Zhuge Liang and Achilles, I think, is honestly, in terms of power level, comparable. The only reason why Achilles is better than Zhuge Liang is because of the damage type, right? Achilles does combo attack. 2 combo attacks to circular AoEs, right? So that means that whenever he does the circular AoE, it can hit up to 10 times of that combo damage attack. So that's why this guy is really, really strong, because every time that you hit 10 times of auto attack against anything, that instantly hits the rage cap of 220, and then you gain back so much rage, right? And that's where Achilles' value really comes, right? Not really because he's like doing a lot of damage. He does, but he's not doing a lot of damage, a lot more damage than Yi Seong-Ge or Zhuge Liang, right? He's not doing 2200 damage vector, despite the fact that it's doing circular AoE. No, you much rather have 2800 damage vector to 3 targets, which would be 2.1 times 2800. That is a lot higher than hitting 5 targets with 2000 damage vector, right? Because you get reduced damage to the additional damage target that you hit, right? But again, the fact that this is a combo attack makes this guy unique and very strong. And another thing that he does have is this one, expertise skill for the 3rd skill, is that whenever you take more than whenever you basically negate up to 2500 damage vector from reduced damage of 15%, this could actually make your active skill trigger a lot more. In a ball fight, you trigger this every other skill cycle or every 3 skill cycle. So it's not as good of a skill as what you have on Joan of Arc Prime, but it is definitely very, very strong, given the fact that it also provides the skill damage and counterattack damage and combo damage reduction. Now, it does not work on smite damage, which is a bit of a shame, I would say. But it's not bad at all, right? And then he does have 10% normal damage bonus, and then the rage strain bonus as well, which is really, really good. And 20% march speed is good. 40% attack is actually really fitting for the commander, although the health bonus is kind of low. So overall, I would say he's a very good commander. But if I were to be very objective, on how strong this commander is, I would say he's either A+ or S-. I would say he's either an S+ or A-. And I would personally put him at S-. Again, just because of the fact that he's doing 10 combo attack. Nothing less or nothing more. He is probably... if that was actually just a smite damage factor of 2000 or circular when he first came out, I would say he would have been put a lot lower in this tier list. But he is probably at S- tier. I know that a lot of you might disagree, but like, I think as a single commander and his power level as a whole, I think this is probably the right place for him. That's my opinion. Okay, let's move on to the next commander. What do we have here? What else do you want? Shall we just go ahead and do what was overdue? What's up, Musa? How you doing? Hey, how you doing, man? I'm doing a little bit of tier list. Let's do what was overdue. Qin Shi Huang. Double S tier. Actually, I think double S is even like an understatement. Triple S tier. Guys, Qin Shi Huang is in another level. You guys already know this, right? Qin Shi Huang is in another level as a single commander and as a pairing for any other commander in Rising Kingdoms. Qin Shi Huang is just OP. The reason why he's OP is because this active skill transfers some of your... basically lets Qin Shi Huang his 5 target AoE with skill damage, right? But not only that, he has something that is called Iron Pierces Bronze. It's Iron Pierces Bronze. So yeah, he has basically... where's the damage factor thing? Yeah, he has 250 damage factor. that basically hits all of them. Now, up to 2 targets per single second, this goes to 500 damage factor. And then any additional command, damage factor that you do thereafter, you do 25% less damage than the last one. So you do 500 damage factor. So basically how this works is that you do 250 damage factor plus 250 damage factor plus now 25% less of 250. So if we divide that by 4, so 125, 62.5 minus, okay, 187.5 plus now 187.5 times 0.75. Let's just do, wait, hold on. 250 times 0.75 times 0.75. Okay, 140 plus 0.25. Oh wait, hold on. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at it over here. Now I can't do math in my head. Okay, so 105, 140, 187. 187.5 plus 140.6. Okay, plus 500. So that's how much damage that he's doing just off of this skill alone per second, guys. Per second in a circular AoE. Not to mention that he converts 60% of his auto attack, which is basically 200 damage factor. So he does 120 damage factor to 5 different targets. So if you add that 120 damage factor to 5 different targets, that is 600 damage factor of skill damage that he does to circular AoE. Of course, that means that he's not doing auto attack damage as much, but it is very negatable attack damage that you're missing. And also at the same time, you rage consume. So this is how much damage that he's doing per second. Let's say he has a skill cycle of 8 seconds. There you go. 12,000 damage factor per skill cycle, guys. This is why Qin Shi Huang is broken. He is 2 levels ahead of best commander that is out there, next to Qin Shi Huang. I think you guys already know this. I don't think I need to stress this even further. Let's just move on. Qin Shi Huang is broken and broken. Okay? Ragnar Prime. Jess wants to talk about Ragnar Prime. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about Ragnar Prime. Ragnar Prime is a very strange commander. Let's go ahead and go to infantry. So Ragnar Prime is a very strange commander. He has 2,000 damage factor, but after using the active skill, the current target actually takes. And by the way, this is 2,000 damage factor to a fan. So this is 2,000 damage factor that goes out of the fan. So if you were to multiply that by 2.1 for the maximum number of units that you can hit, that's going to be 4,200 damage factor. But your current target takes 300 extra damage factor for 2 seconds. So that basically puts this guy's active skill damage factor to 4,800 damage factor. So that's not too bad. He also has pretty decent skills overall, right? He has 40% defense, 10% march speed, which is kind of ripped. But if you have only infantry, you get 10% damage reduction, normal damage reduction, which is really good. And then whenever you're a field troop, you have a basic attack, have 30% chance to drain enemy's attack, which means that you're going to basically get that, which is not bad at all. And then you can also drain the march speed, which is also not bad too. Skill damage reduction bonus, not so bad, not so amazing, in my opinion. I don't think this is that big of a buff, in my opinion. Oh, wait, hold on. His expertise does even more damage factor. So let's just go ahead and calculate that. 2200 damage factor times 3 targets, 2.1. And that puts... plus 600 damage factor. There you go. 5,220. So his damage potential is not bad, guys. In all honesty, his damage potential is not bad. I would say his single commander power level is actually somewhere around A tier. Okay? Like, if you were to just think of him and his power alone as a commander, I think he's a solid A tier. He's very strong, but he does not have a good pairing that he can use. In my opinion, I think that's the only reason why he's not as widely used. But as a single commander, I think he's not a bad commander at all, in my opinion. So that's where I'll put him. He's an A tier commander as a single commander in Rise of Kingdoms. So yeah, what do you think I should get for a swap after KBK2? You need to get Qin Shi Huang and either Achilles if you're cavalry main, or you can get Sun Tzu Prime or Liu Che. I would say Qin Shi Huang, Sun Tzu Prime if you're infantry main, Qin Shi Huang, Achilles if you're cavalry main, and even if you're not, given that you're a big spender, I would say Qin Shi Huang and yeah, I would say those two are your options. Whatever the strongest set that you have after Qin Shi Huang. That's why they pair him with Scipio. Yeah, Scipio's not bad. Is Cav strong? I'm going Archer for sure. I was thinking about Sun Tzu Prime and Qin Shi Huang. Yeah, I'll do that, sir. He has more march speed. Support tree is really good. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, he has a pretty strong. Yeah, well, let's talk about Scipio Prime. Scipio Aemilianus Prime. No, not Scipio Aemilianus. Scipio Africanus Prime. Scipio Prime. So he's a very strong commander. He recently got a really strong buff with emergency protection and loose formation, right? He takes a lot less damage than when he was first released because of his support tree, right? And he does a lot of health reduction, which is really, really good. 30% health reduction is good. 2,000 damage factor in 2026 is a little low. But overall, yeah, his stat is pretty darn good. Now, he has 40% attack damage bonus and 15% march speed bonus. And if you actually are outside of the territory, you get 10% extra bonus, which is very nice. Let's see. He has, whenever you're attacking another troop on the map, you get 20% health buff, which is good. And then whenever you launch a base guy, you have 10% chance to do 500 damage factor. The cooldown is kind of low, kind of high for this, in my opinion. But 10% chance to deal additional damage of 500 damage factor to target for every second for 3 seconds. So this is actually... Now, read the wording on this, guys. This is not a 500 damage factor skill. This is a 1500 damage factor skill every time you trigger this. Because it does 500 damage factor for 3 seconds. For every second, guys. Which is really, really powerful. And he does have also, while you're on the map, you take, whenever you take 50% skill damage, which is going to be all the time. You have 50% chance to reduce the damage by 30%. Now, this is actually not that good in the field because you get hit by guys like Qin Shi Huang all the time. And Qin Shi Huang does not do like crazy one-time damage. But Qin Shi Huang does like consistent, like poison damage, basically. In a circular form. So this is not really that good against Qin Shi Huang, but the second part is actually good. Grant us a damage absorbing shield for up to 3 nearby enemy friendly troops for 3 seconds. So you get another 1500 damage factor of goodness that has 8 seconds of cooldown. This is going to proc a lot of times with Qin Shi Huang's on the field. And that shield right there that you're going to apply to 3 different allies is actually really, really good. So I would say this is a very, very strong formation Testudo formation skill in nowadays. Cooldowns are bad, yeah. Cooldowns are bad. I get it. But I think the 50% chance is really high. So this guy will basically be a shielder for your entire team, in my opinion. Because whenever you're in a ball fight, you're always going to get hit by the Chinchuang AoE, right? You're always going to be hit by the Chinchuang AoE. That 1500 damage factor shield that you're going to provide to your friends is very strong. Now, his expertise, the commander's troop deals 10% more skill damage and rage faster when the current target is silenced. This is actually non-existent. 10% more skill damage is kind of low. It's kind of low buffer in my opinion. But overall, I think Scipio Amiranis is honestly really, really strong commander as a single commander too. I'll say he actually deserves an A tier list, but above like Ho Chi Bing. I would consider putting him at A. I'll actually, you know what? Not A minus. Let's just put him at A tier. Very bottom of A tier. I think he was probably one of the most uncontested best commander in Rise of Kingdoms for a very long time. But now, I think with all those new things and new mechanics in the game, I think he probably deserves like one of the last spots of the A tier commanders. He has really, really strong skill sets, in my opinion. Okay. What else? Who else do you want to talk to? Do you guys want to go GG? Kangam-chan? Let's go ahead and talk about Kangam-chan, guys. Let's go ahead and talk about Kangam-chan. Now, Kangam-chan is a very interesting commander. He does 3000 damage factor with combo attacks, so he does 1500 times 2. And he does a little bit of a health and defense buff. Uncle Scipio Prime still kicking it? Yeah, I know. And he has a lot of healing stuff, right? He has 10% damage converted to healing that goes up to what? 25% healing? Because he increases the healing of the Starless skill by 150. So for primary commander's active skill, this does 10% healing. And then the secondary commander's active skill, this does up to 25% healing. So which is really, really powerful. His damage reduction, march speed, defense bonus, all good stuff. Normal damage bonus of 15% is okay. But he doesn't really have a combo damage bonus, does he? So that's the only thing that he's missing. Really. And that actually does put him in a really weird spot, in my opinion. His damage reduction, the defense reduction is really good. But as a single target hitting commander, like look at how much buff that Ho Chi Bing does, right? Because he's a single target commander, hitting commander. You gotta compare him to like Ho Chi Bing, right? And you really gotta be an amplifier for the secondary commander. But you know, Ho Chi Bing has 30% skill damage bonus on top of having like conditional 25% extra skill damage bonus, guys. That is 55% skill damage bonus with 150 less rage taken. And Kangam-chan really doesn't have any of that. The only reason why he's really good, in my opinion, is because the healing is actually going to make you last a lot longer. And it basically helps you do the maximum damage that you can until you get focused on. So if you actually have Kangam-chan on altar fights, everyone else is going to be worn out by Qin Shi Huang's active skill and then the circular AoEs that he does. But Kangam-chan can actually stay fresh, so that's why he's really good in what's this called? In altars and ruins fights, right? And with that, can I review 4010 KVK? No. No. I'm probably going to be done after this. So, well, good luck though. With that, now, I understand. I've had crazy reports with Kangam-chan's. Well, you guys can see it, right? These are all crazy reports that I got this last KVK. 500,000 kill trays, 527,000 kill trays, 645,000 kill trays. absolutely crazy. And all the other reports that I got on the same day are all positive, right? But you gotta understand that this is off of probably the best possible imaginable set that you can run on him, right? 7.8% all damage and almost maxed out stats. Attack is a little low, I get it, but like everything else is almost almost buffed out. Equipment max out stuff. And I think I unfortunately oversold Kangam-chan to a lot of people in Rise of Kingdoms, in my opinion. Pairs well with Achilles so he can reduce more damage. Yeah. Personally, I would say he's either A plus or A. Personally, I would say he probably deserves an A, in my opinion. Not A plus. I think he's 2 tier below Achilles. But the the damage factor is a lot higher. Let's put him at A plus, okay? Let's put him at A plus. 3,000 damage factor. We get it. He has healing, which has usage. I mean, I use it all my last KVK. He has some ways that you can actually make him really, really strong, like me using him with like double buff, you know, the unit capacity buffs. But yeah, A plus, the bottom of A plus is where I'll put him. Right? That's where I'll put him personally. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. Now, since we're in the discussion of cavalry, let's just go ahead and talk about cavalry, right? Arthur. Let's go ahead and take a look at Arthur. Very strong commander. Has 2,800 damage factor. Has AoE, which is probably the highest damage factor that we have up to this point for any AoE skill, except for Qin Shi Huang. Qin Shi Huang is not really AoE, it's like the waning effect, so the 3-target AoE for 2,800 damage factor is absolutely insane. He also can do up to 2,800 skill damage factor, which is, again, probably one of the highest skill damage that you'll find in Rise of Kingdoms. He also has very high march speed, 20%. He has very high attack, 30%. 20% health is also really good. And he also has 30% combo or skill damage buff. You see that if this commander is serving as a primary commander, they're a commander that this gains the lake the lake effect, which gives you 10% skill bonus to combo attack damage. If you're your secondary commander, you get stone effect, which gives you 10% skill damage bonus. And if you're attacking a field troop, which is most of the case, which should be most of the case, you get those multiplied by 3. So 30% damage bonus for a skill or combo is absolutely crazy. Whenever you're attacking a field troop, you also have a way for you to reduce the range of the target that you're attacking. And also at the same time, you can gain march speed whenever you use an active skill. Overall, fits perfectly into what a cavalry is supposed to be, in my opinion. And also at the same time, his expertise is just absolutely crazy. If this commander is serving as a primary commander, your troop gains Light of the Lake effect. Whenever this troop launches a basic attack, it has 50% chance to launch 1 extra combo attack with 300 damage factor. Guys, this is buffed up to 70% when you actually use it with Butterfly effect. And of course, the chance is reduced, right? So let's say you're using an active skill with Butterfly effect and you hit like 10 targets. The chance of you triggering this extra attack is going to go from 70% to 35% to 17.5%. So it gets reduced, I get it. But the fact that this has a damage potential of crazy amount, I think this is a very, very strong skill, in my opinion. And this one is fine. This effect can multiply. Yeah, this effect can trigger multiple times per second, and all that stuff is good. Whenever you're using it as a secondary commander, the troop gains the Light of Stone effect. Whenever your troop deals direct damage, it has 25% chance to deal additional damage for every second for 1 second, with 50% of the damage factor. Very strong skill. Overall, I think Arthur is very strong commander in general. Now, I'll put him at an A+ tier. But in all honesty, guys, if I have to evaluate the commander's power level and power level only, I think Arthur is stronger than Achilles. I think Arthur might be stronger than Achilles, guys. Personally, I would actually feel more comfortable if I did this. No, you can't put Achilles into A+ tier, I think. I think this is a probably right way to go about it. I think Achilles is strong, but if you read through Arthur's kit, guys, the only downside of Arthur is the fact that he has to be skill damage commander when he is used as secondary. Yeah, he does more damage and he has more upside. Yeah, that's why I'm not sure if I would put Achilles here, in all honesty. Yeah, I would put Achilles there. Again, the logic is that 2000 damage factor with combo is good, but I don't think he's as strong as Arthur as a power level and power level only. A+ is a great level to be in my opinion. And yeah, this is why Cavalry is having a problem. They don't have a double S tier pairing. I think that's why Cavalry is having a problem right now, because a lot of non-cavalry mains are suffering with their cavalry marches, and I think the only reason why that's happening is because of this, right? That's what I personally feel like is the problem. Like, infantry, you can run, Sons of Prime, Liu Qian, Sons of Prime Bai Chu, and they're both S tier plus, right? But cavalry, you have to mix and match like the S tier and the A tier. I think that's probably the biggest problem that we have, in my opinion. And now, basically, this is kind of one of the reasons why I actually wanted to make this video. Was like, yeah, like individual power level of each commander, they synergize well, but individual power level of the commander for cavalry is actually not there. That's my opinion. Now let's talk about Bai Chu. I think Bai Chu is a very strong commander. I would actually... And Bai Chu does a really big like fan AoE with 2400 damage factor with 30% extra chance to deal 15% more damage, right? He has really weird like damage mechanics with Malice effect. But I think the biggest drawback that Bai Chu has is that this damage buffer, the normal and the smite damage buffer, it's very conditional, right? So whenever you're attacking a field trip, your troop gains 10 stacks of Malice attack upon entering the combat. 10 stacks of Malice every time it loses 10% of its unit. And then 5% bonus to smite damage dealt for every 10% below your max unit is, right? So your units have to be lower in health for you to do more smite damage. But once your troop count is already low enough, you don't do as much damage anyways, right? If you're already at 50% troop capacity, it doesn't matter how much damage bonus that you get. You already get 50% damage reduction from not having enough troops, right? So yeah, if this was just straight up like 45% smite and normal damage buff combined together, I think Bai Chi would have been a better commander than Sun Tzu Prime. I truly believe that. Because he does a lot of AoE damage. He does a lot of AoE damage and in a very big cone. So, but because this is so conditional, and like Malice Effect is not really good unless you're in the combat for a very long time, I'll personally say that he's probably right here. He's probably in the S tier list. Below Arthur. S minus tier list. Below Arthur. And I would actually say Arthur probably deserves to move up here. I think Arthur is a much stronger commander than Liu Che. Because of the extra combo ability that he can use with expertise. I think Arthur's expertise is actually probably the only expertise skill that we have in Rise of Kingdom that is actually better than Liu Che once used as a combo damage commander. So I would actually do this. And then actually just call this a day, right? I think Liu Che is stronger than Bai Chi for sure. And I think Arthur as a whole kit is stronger. Yeah, his force skill is very conditional, but his smite damage is very good. Yeah, his smite damage, no doubt about it. 2400 damage factor with 15%, 30% chance to get 15% buff is really, really strong. The Malice Effect is kind of meh, in my opinion. So that's why I think he got pushed out by Sun Tzu Prime as the best pairing for Liu Che. But overall, again, very strong commander pairing. A commander, in my opinion. No doubt about it. Still deserves the S minus tier. I know, Nar. I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead and let him go. But yeah. I think that's probably the order that I put each commander in based on their power level. You think Arthur just deserves the S tier? But if you compare Arthur against the Sun Tzu Prime, I mean, he's an AoE commander. He's an AoE commander. Is he comparable to Sun Tzu Prime though? Maybe. The active skill damage factor of 2800 damage factor. That all procs a combo. I think I will still put him half tier below Sun Tzu Prime. I think this is a good place that we can actually leave them at. Maybe over here. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think at the very front is fine. To put him next to a Sun Tzu Prime, though, I think is kind of too much. Okay. Let's talk about some other archers. Zhuge Liang. As I said before, 2000 damage factor. 2000 damage factor skill. Where's Zhuge Liang at? Yeah, 2000 circular AoE damage factor with damage reduction buff for 3 seconds. And also at the same time, he does have a Marquise effect that will do extra 3 targets, 1500 damage factor. This right here is very powerful skill, by the way. So whenever the secondary commander of this commander uses an active skill, if this troop does not have Marquise effect, it gains Marquise effect for 10 seconds. But if this troop has Marquise effect and only contains Archer effect, dispel the Marquise effect and deal direct damage up to 3 targets. This does not get reduced by number of additional damage that you hit. Now, it is not affected by the skill damage buff, of course. But this is a 4500 damage factor skill, guys. This is a 4500 damage factor skill. That is crazy. 4500 damage factor skill that you can proc every other skill cycle. This is why it is hard for me to say that Achilles is much better than Zuge, right? Of course, Achilles does 2000 damage factor, 5 targets. That, in a sense, is like 4000 damage factor. But this procs every other skill cycle or every 3 skill cycle too, right? But Zhuge Liang's this skill right here, 4500 damage factor, you cannot ignore that too. And he has 20% skill damage bonus, 50% attack bonus. For 3 seconds, conditional. And he has, and you have 50% chance to negate a control effect and do 500 damage factor. He is good. He is good, I think. Yeah, I think without further ado, let's just go ahead and move it. I think he's not as good as Achilles, but he is at the same level as Achilles. I think that's where you can actually put him. He's on the bottom of the A tier, A+ tier, but he is not on the same level as these guys. Is what I think, personally thinking. I think this is probably the best place for Zuge. All right, Hermann Prime though. Hermann Prime is a very strange commander. Hermann Prime is a very difficult commander to evaluate, especially with the support skill. Bro, Sons of Prime is SSS? No, Sons of Prime is not SSS. Sons of Prime is not comparable to Qin Shi Huang. It is impossible for me to say that Sons of Prime is comparable to Qin Shi Huang. You can believe all you want, but that's where I put him. And that's why I separated. Yeah, that's why I separated. Like, Sons of Prime does not and I'll just spoil this for you guys. Sons of Prime is gonna be the only commander that's gonna be this tier. There's no other commander that I can see right here. Actually, there is a commander. I'll tell you later. But yeah, there's no infantry, archer, or cavalry commander that is out here that can actually be at the same level as Sons of Prime. So that's why. But there's a clear difference in the damage output that you can do with Qin Shi Huang and Sons of Prime. Okay, let's talk about Hermann Prime. 2000 damage factor in a fan, so 3 target AoE, and you do a lot of poison. And each poison, and he has a really interesting AoE skill damage bonus thing, which I think is really good, because this is a separate multiplier, right? So let's say you were getting what, like 50% damage uplift from regular skill damage bonus and boost. This AoE skill damage bonus can actually make that damage go up by 30%, not 20%, because this is a separate AoE multiplier. So this is not a bad commander pairing, commander skill. And not to mention that the poison stack actually gives additional damage, skill damage taken debuff, guys. Additional skill damage taken debuff. Now, just as a single commander that can be used on the field, I think he actually, in all honesty, I think he deserves an A tier. Maybe above the skill damage commanders, infantry commanders. I think he deserves an A tier placement. He just did not have a good commander pairing that we could actually think of. Is Chishuan good with Zuge? Yes. Chishuan Zuge or Chishuan YSG is good for 1 March. How many Martel can I get in 3 months? I don't know. Chishuan YSG is good for field? Yeah. Chishuan YSG is good for field. I'll show you. I'll show you. One of my restart accounts. Oh boy. Oh boy. In a single Marsh dispatch, my Chishuan YSG in this KVK3 account, I don't have crazy stuff. Akano, I don't have your stuff. I have a regular generic legendary set. My armors are kind of good because we won KVK2. But okay, I gotta wait until they load up. But look at that, guys. Look at that. 1.01 million kill report on KVK3 with Qin Shi Huang YSG, ladies and gentlemen. In my 4 years of playing Rise of Kingdoms, unless I'm farm killing or like killing T1s or T4s that are reinforced, in a ball fight, I've never gotten this kind of report, guys. I've never gotten this kind of report. This is crazy. Qin Shi Huang YSG is OP. Qin Shi Huang Zhuge Liang is probably just as OP. It is absolutely insane. Let's see. What were we talking about? Oh yeah, Herman Prime. Yeah, Herman Prime. I think he just didn't have a good pairing. In all honesty, I think that's really what it is. And now with Arslan in the game, maybe Herman Prime would actually shine again. And with that said, let's just talk about Arslan, right? Now, we don't have him in the game. We already know his kit. He does debuff transfer. And he has additional damage factor that does a lot of damage, right? Now, personally, I think his kit could be a S- tier. Personally. Because his Pierce effect... Let's go ahead and take a look at that, right? His Pierce effect actually does a lot of damage. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at this, right? Alpha Arslan. So he has 2,000 damage factor, but you can inflict 1 stack of Pierce that can stack up to 3 times. But each stack does up to 500 damage factor. Each stack of those Pierce does 500 damage factor. And then this can actually get transferred with his 3rd skill to a different enemy. And I think the scalability of this guy with Herman Prime, I think it's pretty insane. And with that said, I'm actually inclined to put him up at the very top of the S- tier. Now, he might be a S tier candidate. But we don't know yet. But because of the potential that this guy has with Herman Prime, I don't know, guys. I think Arslan could be a S- tier commander. Potential S tier commander. I'll say he could be either of those two. But he's a very strong commander. I truly believe it. Now, we don't know yet, but I truly believe he's a very strong commander. Alright, now, I think that's probably all the like really important commanders that are out there. I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward the rest of the commander pairs. Okay, Guan Yu. I think Guan Yu has a potential to be the bottom of the A- tier. He has the 2000 damage factor, but he also has something crazy. Let me just go ahead and move over to my main account because I do have Guan Yu. Now he has very strong 2000 damage factor is not a lot, but he has additional damage factor that he does in his kit, right? And that is with where's this? Yeah, that is with his 4th skill, right? So if you hit one target, you have 50% chance to deal 1000 extra damage factor. If you hit more than 2 targets, so 2 to 3, you have 50% chance to deal extra 1400 damage factor. If you actually read his kit carefully, his damage factor is actually really crazy. Now, he doesn't have a damage amplifier buff, to be really honest with you. So that's the only downside, but like, yo, for a commander that is this old, I mean, 2000 damage factor is same as the damage factor that we saw on Scipio Prime, right? And on top of that, this skill, guys, that piercing effect looks good. Testing should be interesting. Yeah. This skill right here, guys, applies the debuff called Silence in AoE for 3 seconds, guys. If you can silence a commander for 3 seconds and actually prevent them from using an active skill or like secondary skill, a commander using an active skill, that is a silence is probably one of the most broken skills that are in Rise of Kingdoms. Probably one of the reasons why we don't see it anymore, because it creates such a negative, like, kind of, I would say, experience for the people who are silenced. As a single commander power level, in my opinion, guys, I think Guan Yu does deserve to be here. He does AoE. He's not better than Wo Chubing, but for such an old commander, I think Guan Yu's really, really strong. Now, CJ, he has his uses. I would say he's like better than Sargon because he does active skill and he has some uses in the cheeseburger. He has more uses than I think Sargon, but he's not really that much better. So I'll put CJ into B tier. Alexander the Great, same deal. I don't think he's stronger than Sargon as a single commander. Especially given that, yeah, they're both a single target damage dealer. He does have more utility, so he's not a C tier commander, in my opinion. But yeah, I'll put him at the bottom of the B tier. Shazar. Shazar is a very interesting commander, too. Shazar has a healing and a skill damage factor, right? She has, if she's used as a primary commander, you can do up to a 2800 damage factor. And then if you're used as a secondary commander, you do heal and true damage, right? And then the only thing that I would say that makes this commander pretty bad is the lack of skill damage buff, right? And given that they have given up on this commander, although this commander as a single commander It's not that bad. I would say she probably deserves like a little bit stronger than a Guan Yu. Again, the 2800 damage factor is pretty good, but it's not good enough where I would just like put her among the A tier commanders. That's what I would do. Okay. Asher Venipal should not be in here. I think he should just be used as an active. I think Asher Venipal should be just be used in rallying garrison. So I'm gonna move him down. Okay. Boudica Prime. I'll put him as her as C tier. Boudica Prime is a very interesting commander. She does skill damage taken debuff with active skill. 35% skill damage taken with debuff is fine, but not as strong as whatever Herman Prime does with his poison damage. March speed is 10%, which is not a lot. Has like some sort of skill damage buff here, but I don't think that really matters. Overall, she's good, but also at the same time, actually, you know what? I'll put her over here. I think she does deserve a B tier. She's strong. She used to be the best pairing with Zhuge Liang. Or she used to be best pairing with Zhuge Liang or YSG. YSG, I think. Yeah, we used to use Boudica Prime and YSG. But unfortunately, we don't use that anymore. Season of Conquest. This is for Season of Conquest, so 2800 damage factor is good, but the rest of her kit is neglected. Yeah, I 100% agree. Nebu, probably one of the first C tier commander that I would put. Nebu does a circular AoE, but 1500 damage factor. Yeah, 1500 damage factor to circular. No, not even circular. In a fan. He's just very outdated commander. Does have some sort of damage factor here, but only when rallying. If you're gonna use him as a field commander, I would strongly advise against you using it. Probably the easiest C tier that I would give in today's meta. With that said, YSG, I think YSG is a very strong commander. Even in Season of Conquest at par level wise, I think he probably deserves to be at the top of the B tier among all those guys. He has 1700 damage factor, but he does circular AoE. And with 50% skill damage bonus, and with 12% extra skill damage bonus that you can get with Relic, he does 62% extra skill damage bonus. On top of that, he does have a rage engine built in with 100 rage. Just absolutely crazy. The only downside of this guy is the fact that his Chosen Dynasty, which is the third skill, is garrison only commander skill. And yeah, this skill damage bonus is really, really strong. He's just outdated. That's why he's in the B tier. Yeah, the only reason why he's actually a B tier is because he's really, really outdated. And technically speaking, Qin Shi Huang YSG is the best commander pairing in Rise of Kingdoms. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. That's it. That's all we need to know. I would actually even be tempted to move him up to the bottom of the A- tier. Yeah, I feel like we can do that. I think he's still a better commander than Chok Jin-gyung into Season of Conquest. Yeah, 62% skill damage buff is just absolutely crazy. He was considered one of the best commanders 2 years ago, although he's one of the first commanders. Not 2 years, 3 years ago. Although he was one of the first commanders to be ever released in Rise of Kingdoms. I think he still deserves an A tier kind of like treatment. Even now. Now, nothing above there. I wouldn't put him above all these, but I think this is a good, like, with the museum buff, he's probably the best beneficiary of the museum buff, guys. He got 3 relic tiers that gives him what really saved him. Let's go to museum. What really saved him was that I think the Lilith has realized that you will really want to keep YSG from the early game experience for people to not leave the game, right? So what they did was the Relic 1 is 10% damage, 10% defense and 3% skill damage bonus. Relic 2 is 20% skill damage defense and the Archer defense, and then 5% skill damage bonus. But on the Relic 3, it gave 7% extra skill damage, guys. 7% extra skill damage. And that right there, that 7% extra skill damage bonus that they got from Relic is the difference between Wedge 1.0 and Wedge 2.0, right? This saved YSG, in my opinion. This is absolutely crazy. Absolutely. It is insane, in my opinion. So yeah, triple relic. I would say if you're talking about triple relic, I think he does deserve a spot above Guan Yu, because Guan Yu's relic is actually not that good. Guan Yu only has one relic tier, right? Where's Guan Yu at? Do I not have Guan Yu on the relic? Yeah, Guan Yu gives you like 5% attack, 10% defense. You better be putting Martel up because of relic too. Okay, fine. Fine. I'll put Martel up. So let's bring up Martel because our man Kevin wants to talk about Martel. Okay, so Martel is a very special case too. He's probably the second best beneficiary of the relic buff, because look at the amount of damage buff, attack buff that he gets from this triple relic. 50%, guys. 50%. And 10% health is good, but 50%. And the reason why that's so overpowered for a lot of the cases is because one of the reasons why people still use Martel nowadays in Kana Rally with Attila, he's basically the Attila 0.1. He's the Attila 0.1 because he gets a lot of stats overall. 40% stats on top of 20% march speed is good. Now, he doesn't do any damage, but he does do damage bonus once he uses his active skill. And on top of that, with so much more additional attack, combined with Martel's counterattack, which gives you 30% extra counterattack damage, is what makes Martel still usable to a certain degree nowadays, even in Season of Conquest, rallies, and garrisons, guys. Some people still use Gorgo Martel to avoid swarms with triple stats onto Martel's relic. Yeah, 120% stats. It is insane. 60% on top of having 40%. No, that's 100%. That's 100%, but 20% march speed, right? It is insane. And this counterattack damage buff is something that we haven't seen ever since basically Martel came into the game. So I would say Martel, if you're talking about triple rally Martel, I would say he deserves a spot right here. Yeah, very top of the B tier. I wouldn't say he's an A tier. Let's be real. He's not A tier commander. Come on. Let's just be real. Okay? He's not A tier commander. But he has conditional uses. He has very conditional but conditional uses. As a single commander with relic. Okay, now let's go ahead and move on to cavalry. I'm gonna go ahead and move very quickly on these commanders. Junobar Prime, probably one of the best commanders that you can actually use for a skill damage commander buff. She does double cast every other turn. If you can time it right, after using your primary commander's skill, you can technically and technically use your active skill every cycle, although there will be some damage loss. Hey Cyrax, how's it going, man? Just a bit lower than YSG. There are different roles, yeah. Junimar Prime, I'll probably put her around here. Probably above Scipio and Africanus. She does have support tree too. And her damage potential is just out of the world. Out of this world. I think this commander still does deserve to be in the A tier. Okay, next up, Nevsky. Nevsky is a very good commander. Although I would say his relevance right now has been pretty diminished. But I would say Nevsky as a single commander, even with the relics considered from Guan Yu, he is still stronger than Guan Yu. Now, YSG, because he gets 65% skill damage buff, I think Nevsky might be stronger than YSG. But nothing more. Nothing more. I would say Nevsky is probably in the right spot over there. Okay, let's move on. Do you guys want me to talk about Attila? As a cab main, is Saladin still good for KVK2? Yes. KVK2 specifically, he's good. Do you guys want me to talk about Attila? Because I know some people like to use Attila in the field. Right? Let's talk about Attila. Attila, very strange commander. He's basically Charles Martel 2.0. Right? And for cavalry, right? His active skill does not really give you too much, but he gives you basically a normal damage buff, counterattack damage bonus, and attack reduction for the enemy. And also at the same time, he does have damage bonus when you're attacking a city or stronghold, which is not really relevant for the field. Which is not what we're doing here. We're just doing this for field. So this skill, second skill, is kind of irrelevant. But the third skill, you take 15% less skill damage, which is huge. And cavalry units gains 15% attack speed and 40% attack bonus. 40%. This additional attack percentage is absolutely crazy. The additional attack bonus is absolutely crazy. So I would say this is why he's kind of relevant. But also at the same time, this is what kind of makes this commander a little more relevant. Because if this commander's troop contains only cavalry units, whenever it launches a basic attack, it has a chance to gain a bonus to damage dealt for 2 seconds, with 25% chance for 50% bonus, and 25% chance for 100% bonus, with cooldown of 10 seconds. And this is the crazy part, guys. This is the crazy part. These two bonuses, 50% and 100%, has different cooldown, guys. Each of those have different cooldown. Apparently, that's what I was told. Apparently, these two have different cooldown. And that's why he's really, really strong. Because on a rotating basis, in your cooldown, you could theoretically have 4 seconds of either 50% bonus or 100% bonus. Or both of them colliding together, which gives you 150% damage bonus. This is why this commander is really good. Sometimes this would actually proc during your skill cycle, and this would do really, really strong damage. And the proc chance of this is really high too. 25% chance. If you have Delta formation, you can push this up to like, yeah, you can push this up to 45% chance. So you can cycle this through like crazy with Attila. And his expertise, immune to being silenced, is okay. Not too crazy. You don't really see that many silences in the field anymore. Plus the ring damage bonus. Yes. The ring damage bonus with the 100% damage bonus already is 165% damage bonus, guys. If you get hit by an auto attack with that, that is what? That is... Wait, hold on. That is like 600 damage factor of auto attack. That is crazy. Expertise. Your troop deals 20% more normal damage to troops with less than 50% units remaining. This is okay and not okay at the same time. This is really good for rallying, but for the field, this is not really that amazing. Whenever you exit field, exit combat, it gains 50% march speed for 3 seconds. So this allows you to basically get to your field and then run away faster. So this is really good. Overall, he's a very strong buffer. He's a very strong buffer. As a commander, though, as a single commander, I think he probably is like the bottom of A minus tier. He's not really that good with himself doing more damage. And I'm a strong advocate of damage factor, in my opinion. I think he deserves an A minus tier. Does he deserve to be in a higher tier than Guan Yu? Probably. Does he deserve to be a tier above YSG? As a single commander, is he stronger than YSG? That is a tough question, guys. That is a tough question. I would say yes. No, actually. Yeah, the active skill missing. Damage factor that you're missing from active skill is actually too crazy. He deserves an A. If we're talking open field only, I think Guan is better. I think if he's a rally or garrison, I think he's probably in like A plus or S plus. A plus or S minus. But for field and field only, I think he's in the right place, guys. I think this is the right place for him. Yeah, as a single commander, power level only, I think Guan Yu, sure. YSG is tough. Yeah. I don't think YSG is. Yeah, I think this is the right place, guys. This is exactly where I want him to be. Okay, let's move on. Belisarius Prime. He has a lot of utility. He has, I think, 2,700 damage factor. A 2,400 damage factor, but he has a lot of rage reduction and rage requirement increase. Single commander pairing power. I would say he deserves a B tier. Below Charles Mattel, probably. Don't invest in him. I didn't invest in him. Don't invest in don't invest in Belisarius Prime. If you did, rip you. But yeah, not really that great commander. He does have utility. I get it. He does have a little bit more. He does have mobility. I get it. Not an amazing commander. Not an amazing commander. He is stronger than Sargon. He doesn't do AoE, so CJ is comparable with him. But overall, I would say this is the right place for him. His single target, though. Oof. Okay, fine. I'll put him right here. Yeah, CJ, because he's an active, he does AoE, right? He does AoE, and not only that, he actually has an instant proc AoE too. Where's CJ at? Yeah, he does 1,500 damage factor AoE, but his instant proc AoE is actually really good too. Where's his instant proc? Is this expertise? Yeah, the 500 damage factor AoE. This procs up a lot, guys. This procs up a lot. So this guy is practically a 2,000 damage factor AoE guy. So I would say this is right. Yeah, I think CJ deserves a spot above. CJ is not better than Belly Prime? Ooh, that is a tough argument. I think CJ is better. in open field. You don't see Belisarius Prime ever used almost ever. But CJ is still used as an AoE active skill. You can use him for cheeseburger too. I think CJ is better. Personally. Ha ha ha. Now William probably deserves a spot somewhere here. Skill damage. He does he does a rectangular skill damage. I personally think that he does deserve a spot somewhere around here. I'll say above Belisarius Prime because of his utility. He has the defense buff, and then the... Doesn't he have like a relic that gives him 200 extra damage factor too? Yeah, he does have a relic that gives him 200 extra damage factor. 100 damage extra factor. But his expertise gives 20% defense bonus, right? And not only that, he does 800 damage factor. This goes up to 1000 when you expertise him, right? And then if the target's surrounded, this goes all the way up to 1500. I think William is pretty good. Doesn't he give rage? Oh, yeah, he does. He also does give rage. Good point. Wait, where's his rage giving? Wait, where's his rage giving? Does he not give rage? Oh, there you go. If this skill hits more than 2 targets, up to 5 nearby allies gain 50 extra rage per second for 3 seconds. There you go. This makes him really strong. He's more of a support skill damage factor. 1600 damage factor. AoE commander. Does a lot of buff. Has potential to do 1500 additional damage factor to a target that is surrounded. I think he can be stronger than Belisarius Prime in terms of what, like, his place. Bertrand, bottom of the C tier. No question about it. He's so bad. I expertise him. I instantly regret it. Don't use him. Maybe better than Nebu because he does combo damage now, but like very, very bad investment. I'll say he's more of a support march, yeah. Hector. Where do I put Hector? Hector is a very interesting guy. Bert is a goat. Nah. Hector, I'll put Hector at the A+ tier, right? Hector does a lot of different stuff. He basically is 3 different commanders in one. No knight who sitteth at my table. Just like how Philip is. But the damage factor that you do, unlike Philip actually does like a buff and a skill proc buff. But Hector gives you smite damage, combo damage, and direct damage. So he does have a damage factor. And he has an instant proc combo damage in there. And yeah, I think overall, he's a really good commander, in my opinion. Like, as a field commander, too. Now, he is a single target damage dealer. But I use him with Arthur, to be honest with you. Bro, Hector is actually good depending on what he's on. It's the best siege garrison. That could be correct, yeah. Now, is he comparable to more of these guys or more of these guys? Is he in the A+ tier or the A tier? I think he deserves A+ tier. Like the bottom of the A+ tier, I think this is the right place for him. The versatility, the buffs, the fact that we have like no other choice but combo, but him for the combo damage. Yeah, this is a good place for him, I think. Okay. All right, now we have Philip. In all honesty, guys, nowadays, I think Philip deserves a B tier. I think his concept was really good. But like the fact that he doesn't do any damage himself was really bad. He's a good buffer for sure. He's a good buffer for sure. But I don't think Philip is usable nowadays. I don't know what to feel about Philip anyway. Yeah, like, I don't know. I invested in him. don't you trash my little Philip? I don't know, man. I think this is the right place for him, to be honest with you. You don't run a support march boost. Yeah, but like most people don't. People don't run support march anymore, right? Well, most people don't run support march because they're not as good as the other marches, right? Yeah, I know he does like what 800 damage factor to 3 targets. Yeah, but like this is not this is a AOE 800 damage factor to get reduced. So this is like 1500, 1600, and it's like 1700 damage factor. Like he's a good buffer. Yeah, that's the best march that you run for people who run 6 to 7 marches. Yeah. Fine, I'll put him above your Charles Mattel. How about that? But they buff your main marches though? Yeah. Yeah. Fine, I'll put him at the bottom of the A tier. No negotiations. This is it. This is it. I cannot. He's basically buffing Attila. That's how I personally consider it. But like people use Attila over Philip in front of cavalry combo commanders because I think Attila is better. That's where I'll put him. He can't be above A minus, I think. As a single commander, the power level is kind of low, I think. All right, we only got Siege March. Let's just go ahead and put him here. Okay, Cordoba, the only ranged smite damage march in the game. He does circular AoE to the enemy. His power level, as a single commander, I think, is comparable. No knight who sitteth at my table. Is comparable to that of where's my guy? Yeah, the 2400 damage vector range. I mean, with the range 15% bonus, yeah, Siege is trash. We all hate Siege. No, don't talk like that in front of the Siege Master, who is Kevin. I think Cordoba deserves a S tier. Siege should have its own category. Fine, now I'll remove Siege. Fine, this is just for open field. Good, but everyone hates. Okay, fine. So here's where I would have put them. Cordoba would have been S tier. And then and then Gazamata would have been S minus tier. Okay? That's where I would have put them, but since you guys don't want them, let's just go ahead and write Siege S minus A. Okay? That's what you guys want to see, right? I got 2 negative reports last KPK and 100% positive reports with 0 thoughts. I think both A tier. You're the biggest Siege hater. Why do you hate on Siege, man? Why do you hate on Siege? Okay, so yeah. So that is it. That is my Commander Power level tier list as of May 12, 2026. Alp Arslan, again, I think the one last thing that I do want to note is that he has a potential to be up in the S tier. We don't know yet. We don't know how strong he is. Siege, I think, as a whole is S tier. And this is why I think like infantry is doing better than cavalry. Archer is doing better than everyone else because like it has the one and only triple S tier commander in the game. And cavalry is doing like cavalry is basically cavalry needs a buff, guys. Cavalry needs a buff. We need another good commander in Rising Kingdoms. But yeah. I think this is a pretty accurate tier list. But hope you guys enjoyed today's video. And if you guys disagree with me, you guys are right. So don't leave a comment down below because I'm just gonna hide you from the channel, dude. So but anyways, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you guys did, please go ahead and drop me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, guys. And as always, I'll see y'all in the next video, guys. Peace!